When you say globalists, who are those people?
George Soros.
From what countries? Let's name the countries that they are not in. Russians, Indians, Chinese, are globalists from those countries too?
George Soros is the most well-known. Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, Davos, Bilderbergers.
Bilderberg is happening now.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Yeah. And
this weekend.
And it's when you get up to that level, it's eat or be eaten. In other words, if you don't buy up other companies, some other company will buy you up. And so it's like, an aggressive posture. It starts off with something as simple of you have a painting company and you have an opportunity to get a contract with the city, and you can become the biggest painting company in the city because you're now getting money from, and then you're now one of the biggest painting companies in the state, and you have some friends in the state that can funnel the business to your company. Now you become the biggest company in the state, and then you're on the national level. And you pay for some politicians, get them elected, and they get in office, and they are giving a government contract to you, and now you're getting billions of dollars. Well, guess what? It happens on a global level. And they're like, hey, we can destabilize this. We can, come in and reconstruct these cities. We'll get all this money. And then they want to, corner the markets on banking, the whole climate change thing. Al Gore wanted to have global carbon credits. Right? And so every activity of breathing out carbon dioxide, you have to pay a tax, right? And then they would trade these taxes. It's all these schemes.
That was when he was running in the 2000?
Well, I mean, he still started doing it, but it's sort
Nobody's listening to the guy.
Yeah, nobody's listening to him, yeah. And but
he said he will be drowned by 2020.
Pardon?
He said we'll be drowned in water by 2020.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. It's fear. So there's two ways to get people to give up their freedom. One is fear, and the other is free stuff. And so a drug dealer takes over a neighborhood two ways. He can come in with guns, get people into fear, and they submit to the mob and pay, extortion money. Or the drug dealer is so nice, he's giving away free drugs until you get hooked. And then you want some more free drugs, you're going to have to sell yourself into prostitution. You're going to have to give up your freedom to keep it. And so the two ways the government takes over and brings socialism and communism, which is just another term for dictatorship, which is another term for a top-down pyramid structure with a pharaoh on top, right? But it's just a communist dictator, Xi Jinping, right? Whoever. And so they want to destabilize the country financially. And so everybody goes to the government and says, government, help. And the government says, we'll help, but you're going to have to sign up for welfare. And you're like, oh, okay, thank you. And then you get dependent on the free money. And then like, okay, we made a new rule. If you want to continue the free money, you have to give up your guns. It's like, well, okay. And then, okay, now if you want to continue the free money, you're going to have to get these shots. And if you want to continue the free money, you're going to have to let us track you everywhere you go. And people are backdoored, and it's actually called the Cloward-Piven strategy. Mm-hmm. So 1950s, 1940s, you have the 30s and 40s, you have FDR, and you have the Soviets, the socialists in America. They actually started a U.S. A Communist Party, right? And then they ran candidates, and so forth. And but they infiltrated FDR's administration. And Columbia University in New York were taken over by these leftist professors. And Richard Cloward, Francis Piven were socialist professors at Columbia University. And they said, well, you're not going to bring socialism into America with tanks, but you can do it through the back door. And you can destabilize the economy and get everybody to sign up for welfare. And once they sign up for welfare, you gradually, incrementally give them to get up their freedoms until you control the population that way.
But the question remains, why do they hand this information to us? why are they telling their plans? Because if we know the plan, we can fight back.
Well,
they don't care. They're so arrogant.
Yeah, quite honest. You know, it's sort of like Islam will do that. They say, we're here to take over. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, you don't really mean that. You know, but yeah, you know, there's a bunch
they
of
do that in the United Kingdom right now. It's like, everybody's like, nah.
I just
no worries.
bumped that.
It's okay. You're good.
And so, and now with AI, it gets really interesting. University of Zurich did a study, and they looked at Reddit, Reddit.
The forum.
It's a website where you post questions and answers.
Yes.
And they had AI do gather all the information and build a profile on each user. They looked at all their posts, all their comments, and they got this. And then they had bots, right? Computer-generated things that will post answers. They found out that these bots, these AI computer posts, were 6 times more effective in getting people to change their views than humans are. They can study you and know everything.
Where to poke.
Yeah, they know your fears and your pleasures. Those are the 2 things, your pain and your pleasure. They know what you're afraid of. Oh, healthcare scare, financial scare, right? And then they can motivate you that way, or they can lure you with the pleasures, right? And so they build a profile on each person so good that they'll know you better than you know yourself, and they know what buttons to push, what articles to send your way, and it motivates people to adopt the government-approved views. Now, these tactics were perfected for 50 years during the Cold War. The Soviets would do these tactics to take Western countries and bring them behind the Iron Curtain or behind the bamboo curtain, right over in the Far East. But then the American CIA would do it in reverse. And Obama is the one that took these CIA psychological tools and turned them inward on the American population for political purposes.
Why?
Because he likes political power.
But he can stay in power for only 8 years, which he did.
Yeah, but the deep state globalists, he's like a front man for them. And so, and Biden was a puppet. He was completely controlled by them. He had an auto pen. He didn't know what was going on. He was just the front. So these globalists. So Obama's the one that signed this act in 2015 called, is an executive order called Using Behavioral Sciences for the Benefit of the American Public. It's like, what's using behavioral? It's psyops. It's the same psychological operations that the CIA would do to overthrow countries over there, right? Create a crisis, blame the leader, overthrow the leader. Obama wanted to do that against his political opponents, right? Blame them for all the problems. And then in 2016, Obama signed Countering Foreign Propaganda and Disinformation Act, which allowed him to decide what is disinformation and cancel it.